Hi everybody, Lord Maim here again with part 17 of the Mass Effect 3 Insanity walkthrough, Priority Geth Dreadnought, and the knockdown dragout fight that I've been waiting for essentially since Mass Effect 1 is finally here. The final showdown between the Quarians and their creations, the Geth, in quite an incredible space battle. Right off the hop though, you start off with this rather Dead Space-esque tube crawl, which leads you into the Dreadnought itself. There's no combat through the first couple of scenes, so just continue onward until you open up the hatch for the rest of your party to join you. Once you do, Tali will bring you an awfully nice arc pistol and leave it on the counter in front of you. The door you're looking for, though, is directly behind you, so just turn around and go straight backwards.
We're looking for an operations center. I can disable the Reaper command signal from there.
Where's the closest one?
On this level, because you're dealing with Geth for the first time, you'll want to be either using incendiary ammo, as I have been throughout the game, since it's good against armor, or something that I've only used a few times, the disruptor ammo. Since everything is mechanized, they will take additional damage from it. It's really up to you which you find more effective. For the most part, I kind of go back and forth, depending. But with Tali in the party, you will want to be using her shield drain ability on shielded enemies, in addition to Garrus's overload ability, as well as her attack and defensive drones, which always help. Never hurts to have something else for the enemy to shoot at. Once you hit your first cinematic inside the area, you'll have your first encounter with the Geth, and they're just as sneaky as you might remember. Geth troops and a Geth rocket troop will be there as well. The rocket troops will have shields. Duck into cover when you see them shooting at you. Hopefully you'll be able to get down again. But even though they do have giant flashlight heads, your strategy is more or less the same. Cheat the corners, use applicable special ammo for additional damage, and take out shields with special abilities or the special ammo as necessary.
They're Geth. They send alerts to every unit on this ship. We need to get to the operations center before they box us in.
Geth troopers and rocket troopers will tend to stay back. Later on, when we get into some of the specialized Geth units, you'll see them charge you a little bit more. Those are the ones you really need to be concerned with. These guys are fundamentally no different than any of the other types of troopers or marauders that you've been dealing with in the past. The only thing I do find about the Geth is they tend to be a little bit faster, either moving or dodging back to cover, so you might have a little bit more trouble hitting with them, but not a huge amount in any case. Continuing onwards, after you've picked up any and all ammo in the area, go down this ladder to trigger the next encounter. And again, just a few normal Geth troopers and a rocket trooper as well. Definitely try to avoid taking a rocket in the face. I know that's good advice in a John Madden kind of way, but honestly, it's never a good thing. And again, if it hasn't come up in the past, each of your weapons requires you to set the special ammo independently of each other. So anytime you're swapping back and forth, make sure that you're checking to see that the right type of special ammo is active on the weapon you're using. Again, useful advice in a John Madden kind of way. I mean, for those of you who play sports, I mean, who knows what kind of an overlap we have with Mass Effect 3, but most of you have to be aware of his stupidity. Speaking of stupidity, be aware of these trip mines, which are very obvious and high-lit when you put your cursor over them. I've hit every single damn one of them as I've walked here. They don't do a huge amount of damage as long as you have full shields and life, but if your choice is between stepping on a mine or not stepping on a mine, choice seems obvious. Continue on through this section. There are a few terminals which might give you some backstory and information, but nothing major. In the next section, however, there is a Geth pulse rifle that you can salvage, as well as some additional ammunition if you haven't gotten back up to full.
Sensor data. Any sign of how the Quarians are doing?
We're taking heavy losses. The Geth have a planetary defense cannon. It's ripping through our fleet.
Is there anything we can do to help them?
Just make their sacrifice worthwhile.
Move through to the end of this area. At the far right-hand side will be the Geth pulse rifle, as well as some additional ammunition.
Why do we need to find the operations center? Wouldn't any access console do?
No. Anything we do here, the Geth could counter. Too many fault checks and redundancy levels for what we need to do. The Dreadnought's Operations Center is just ahead.
Passing through this door, you'll hit the Operations Center, which is a fairly open area that will have a large number of enemies in them. So be ready for a fight almost immediately. Included in this fight for the first time will be the Geth Hunter, a very powerful unit that does tend to charge straight at you. It is cloaked and is very difficult to see. Oftentimes you just get the vaguest of shimmering effect as it's moving towards you, and it does fluctuate if you happen to hit it with the random fire. Worst case scenario, if you spray towards it and it briefly disrupts its shield, you can then hit it with a special ability or just with additional follow-up fire. But once the shield has been eliminated, once the shield is down, it will lose the cloaking ability and you'll be able to shoot it as normal. However, if that shield ever regenerates, it will cloak again and you will have to hunt it down a second time. Not to worry though, they tend to come straight at you. So when you start seeing stuff shimmering near you where, you know, there shouldn't be, which is pretty much everywhere you see shimmering, shoot at it. Once you can see its outline, adjust your aim, shoot again. Try not to get caught out in the open right up close though, because they do tend to carry rather large shotguns. At close range, they can be extremely deadly. Once you've taken care of that wave, scour the area for additional ammunition, then move to the far side and trigger the console for the next piece of cinematic and plot. Triggering the operations console, Tally will take you through an extended sequence of events which will eventually lead up to you causing emergency venting that will open up a number of fire doors, allowing you to proceed. However, the second you do, a large number of Geth troops will start flowing through the far side of the room, and you'll be essentially exactly the same situation as you were in the previous fight, except against more troops from the opposite side. This time you'll be fighting 4 hunters in addition to 6 normal troopers, so make sure that you've killed all of them before venturing out too far. If they catch you out in the open at close range, you're pretty much toast. If you also find one unexpectedly close to you, try to roll back, get behind cover, hit it with additional fire from one of your squad mates. Again, just a straight overload ability. Whether or not the Geth has shields will do a significant amount of damage to them, so feel free to use the overload regardless of whether or not they have shields up or at all. Tally's sabotage ability is also quite useful in this scenario. Although it doesn't always cause the Geth to fight on your side, even the possibility of that will give not only the Geth something else to shoot at, but an additional gun on your side shooting back. Never a bad thing. It's not 100% though, so be ready to continue firing on the Geth you've just affected, just in case it doesn't actually change sides. Also, Tally, super squishy. You gotta keep her back. Once the wave is over, again, scour the area for ammunition, then proceed to the far side of the room where the Geth emerged from to continue.
I've served on a lot of ships, but nothing like this. The contours are all off. It's not built for organics. Shouldn't be too much farther to the main battery. I'm surprised they'd send you on this mission, Telly.
Even admirals are expected to serve. I'm better at hacking than I am ordering ships around.
Moving into this section, climb down a couple of sets of ladders till you get to the bottom.
That drone would just float there making that noise.
There's some salvage on the way in this area, but not a lot. Just keep continuing downward. All the pickups are quite obvious out in the open.
Damn it. Priority message. A planetary defense cannon just took down Admiral Corus's ship.
Survivors?
They got to escape pods, and I've got Admiral Ross trying to establish a secure link.
Put her through.
Shepard, this is Ron. The heavy fleet is collapsing. I don't know how much longer we can hold out.
We'll have the Reaper signal deactivated shortly, Admiral.
Hacking the door at the bottom will bring you to the start of a rather long and drawn-out encounter. It's very useful for you to have a strong sniper rifle for this section, since it is essentially just a long tube with enemies popping up for you to pick off one by one. Manage your ammo well, however, particularly if your sniper rifle has a low capacity, because usually if you're picking them off far enough out that they're not attacking you, usually it's too far to get to the ammo before it despawns. In the first section, there's 2 rocket troopers, 2 normal troopers, and 2 hunters. The hunters, again, since they can move straight up the middle, very important to keep an eye out for their shimmering ability. You can just vaguely see it there. Once they're hit, however, they're much more obvious and can be targeted with follow-up abilities. However, up close with their shotgun, you see, can be very, very dangerous. Yeah, just a general tip for me, I don't trust sabotaged mechs. You never know how long they're going to last and when they're going to turn back on you. I figure that while they're shooting at the enemy, you may as well take the chance and shoot at them, since they're not going to shoot back at you anyway. Also, the magnetic wave that keeps sweeping by will whack your shields if you happen to be out of cover when they come by. I'm sure you've already experienced this if you're watching this video, but they do happen at a regular interval, and there's an audio cue just before it fires. It doesn't seem to have any effect on the Geth, though, just you, so try to stay in cover and only pop out where absolutely necessary. If you do happen to get caught, stay in cover until your shields recharge before continuing the fight. On the left and right here, there are some side passages. For the most part, you're not going to be in a position to be used against you. That was close. As long as you don't advance too far. If the Geth get up above you, or sort of off where they can hit you with cover to stop any return fire, it can be problematic. So don't advance too far up this corridor before everything's dead. You can, however, use it in your favor if you wanted to go up to the upper platform to the right and shoot down at things. It might make hitting anything in the lower level to the left more problematic, but it will shield you from a lot of the return fire from any troops still advancing straight up the corridor. And again, try to give those hunters a wide berth. Kill them as quickly as you can, even if it means taking a little bit of return fire while you're out of cover. It's well worth it to avoid them. If you lose track of them, having them sneak up on you and give you a double tap to the face with the old shotty. That's what we call the old GoldenEye shotgun trick, where basically you park yourself on the guy's feet and unload with both barrels at point blank range. Still works even in Mass Effect. So as you can see there, just that one hit from the wave destroyed my shields entirely. Had that Geth been still shooting at me, probably would have ended up doing pretty much what he did just there. And a rocket in the face is never fun. Just ask Garrus. Of course, now I really should be calling him a sissy. I took a rocket in the face, and don't see me bleeding to death. Stupid Eclipse. As usual, once the autosave's triggered, there's no more enemies in the area, and you can proceed more or less in safety. The wave won't actually do anything to your health if you happen to get hit more than once, so realistically you don't have to worry about dying here. So once you're sure that there are no enemies, just proceed up to the end of the area on the left. Make sure that you have full ammo before continuing though, because there's another prolonged firefight very similar to this one in your immediate future. Hit the deactivation console to open the pathway to the next area. And don't believe them when they say that they'd never fire with the door open. Yeah, that's a lie. Totally a lie. So run up the middle, straight up the center. You don't have to worry about it though, just charge. You have more than enough time to get up the ladder here before the thing fires. Right away you'll be plunged into the next encounter, which is why it's critical that you have full ammo. You'll be hit with rockets almost immediately. In this section there's 4 rocket troops on an upper area, as well as a hunter that usually stays a little bit further back, and a trooper near the back of the area as well. These may trickle in from the next wave, but they always seem to spawn with this one, so I've included it here. Just like the rocket troopers though, they only pop up for a fraction of a second before shooting at you, so make sure that you're popped up, return fire, and pop back down again before their rocket gets to you. You've got a little bit of a time advantage against all expectation that the rocket's not going to hit you before you can hit the Geth that's shooting it. Use your L2 and R2 radials to bring up the radar if you lose track of where the Geth are. That can happen, particularly on the upper levels. When you think it's safe, when there's only maybe 1 or 2 left, you can proceed up the ladder into the area. There is also a path to the left that you can go up, which might be safer for you, depending on where the last Geth is. However, expediency wins out over prudence at this point, so just make sure that there's not a bad combination of rockets to the face and shielding losses. For example, that, not a smart move. Adrenaline Rush, however, coupled with your normal fire and your overload ability that Garrus has, can win out in very rare circumstances. But as usual, I recommend always use your autosave and your quick save as much as possible. It can also help if you're running low on ammo in an area. The static spawns... By the way, can you see the hunter? Yeah. Vague, Predator-esque kind of shimmering, and just the very faint impression of the sensor lights on its head that you get that, you know, only slightly stands out against the background. You can see it a lot more clearly in this area than in some, so get used to looking for it in areas where you know there's going to be hunters. They can spell very, very bad things for you. Hey, look, a trip mine. Of course I got hit by it. And you know, that would be just the thing. Trip mine coupled with a shield loss at the exact right timing, that strikes me as something that I would fall prey to. Ah, well. The second part of this wave, for the most part, starts here. You sometimes see this Geth Trooper early. So again, I included him with the first wave since the second wave seems to all come in a batch. But if they happen to spawn with slightly different numbers, you'll know why. Right here is where you see the bulk of the second part of this encounter. They all spawn at once. There are 2 hunters in this area, as well as a number of rocket troopers, so stick to cover, take out the hunters first as they charge you, deal with everything else as it comes. And as John Madden says, don't get hit in the face with a rocket. Anyway, what I was talking about before when the hunters came, if you're running low on ammo using a quick save or an auto save, if you reload from that point, any of the static spawns of ammo that are on the ground you can pick up again and then save again, just picking them up until you're at full life. Till then you have to rely on your base abilities to get you through. I don't tend to use the sabotage ability as much as I probably should, simply because this is one of the few times I'll actually use tally in a mission, so I'm not used to that ability, but it can be quite useful. I mean, it's a free ability at the very least. It's going to do some damage to him, potentially cause its weapon to backfire and damage the Geth, potentially cause him to turn on its allies and cause chaos in among its ranks. At the very least, it can expose some additional Geth to crossfire. There's no reason you shouldn't use it as much as possible. Particularly if you're importing a Mass Effect 3 save, Tally's ability will be essentially maxed out by the time you start, so absolutely no reason to not throw all your points into this ability and just hit it every time you can. The sabotage ability, not Tally. Well, I mean, unless that's the way you're leaning. But I mean, have you seen Ash? Moving into this next area, you'll kind of have the reverse situation that you did before. There'll be a short cinematic as you climb onto this central platform, which will result in kind of a quick time event. It basically just involves you moving in the direction of Tally and Garrus, or whoever you happen to pick, if you're not smart enough to pick Tally and Garrus. I mean, while I'm waiting, how awesome is Garrus, really? That's a trick question. He's super awesome. So moving towards Tally and Garrus, they'll pull you up, and you'll move on to the next section. I've never actually fallen in that section, so I'm not sure whether or not there is a time factor in it, but it would kind of sap the tension if nothing ever happened if you stood there. So I'm assuming you're going to die. No point in delaying. Yeah, I'm feeling, I don't know. Again, climbing up these ladders, there are a few pickups, but they're all in plain sight. Just continue on to the end of the area. And going through this door to the right, you will trigger another cinematic, which, depending on your outcome of Mass Effect 2, or if you've played Mass Effect 2, you will re-encounter your former squad mate, Legion, who is being used as some kind of Geth Reaper conduit. Bad choice of words. Geth Reaper Nexus, distributing Reaper code to the rest of the Geth and aiding their influence over his allies. After you've completed the cinematic, you'll be introduced to some new Geth, or an old favorite actually. In addition to a large number of regular troops, a couple of rocket troops, and some hunters, you'll also get your first glimpse of the Geth Prime, which is actually quite a bit more dangerous in this one than in the previous Mass Effects. Your big concern in this scenario is just sheer numbers right off the hop. If you happen to have sniper rifle ammo left, which I actually don't have much of after the last 2 encounters, rely on that. If not, special abilities, you can still use the sniper scope if you're out of ammo to trigger abilities from a larger distance, particularly in this area since it is quite a it's more or less a straight tube, but it does curve towards the end, but there's lots of distance that you can cover with the sniper rifle you wouldn't be able to target as far back from with just your normal vision. Yeah, I know, the very straight curved tube, but you get my point. The sides of the octagon are quite long, so you can use that to your advantage and hit things well before they get into range of effectively hitting you. In these corridors also, it is super difficult to see hunters coming at you, so the second you do, get fire on them so you can see their outline and take care of them as quickly as possible. You don't want to lose track of them.
The Dreadnought is helpless. No barriers, and the main gun is offline.
There are a couple of static spawns of ammunition on crates against the left side of the lower area, as well as a couple of them up top here. If you can manage to hit the Geth Prime with sabotage, that's like Christmas and Halloween all rolled up into one. Generally doesn't last very long, but at the very least it's going to be not shooting at you, and it will be shooting at them for, 30 seconds a minute, depending on what choices you've taken on the ability. But the Prime succumbs to that not very often, and it does not last very long. If nothing else, it stops him from shooting at you for a short period of time. If at all possible, you might want to take out all of the other guys in the area rather than the Geth Prime first, depending on how far you're advancing and whether or not it's taken notice of you yet. But it can put you in an awkward position from time to time. It does throw out these little Geth turrets, which are tiny, tiny little drones. If you're in trouble at all, just run backwards. Since you've taken out everything on the way, you usually have quite a bit of distance you can retreat to, find a nice area here to the left where you can cheat the corner. If it keeps advancing on you, keep retreating. Worst case scenario, you fall back a little bit more. Once you have some sniper rifle ammo though, you can't beat sniper rifle fire for handling armor. So again, your disruptor ammo or even your incendiary ammo is very useful against armor. Once you've taken out the Geth Prime, it's pretty much downhill from here. By the way, you'll notice that Telly went down. I didn't even notice that she had died. She's so squishy that oftentimes I don't even bother reviving her unless I'm really overwhelmed with fire. As long as I can hang back and still shoot things from safety, she's more a liability than anything. But that's up to you and how much metagel you have at this point in the game, whether or not you want to go to that trouble. I, down to my last blinking sliver of life, probably would benefit from using it now, since I do have more or less full metagel. But again, it's all up to what you remember in the heat of battle. So always take a moment, hit your L2 or R2 radials to stop, assess the situation, and since time has paused, you can really look at what abilities are charged up, whether or not your cooldown is passed, what you have available to you, where your squad mates are, whether or not they're alive. Because from this point on, the fights are only going to get more and more hairy with a large number of troops, bad terrain, and squads that tend to be, for lack of a better term, fucking stupid. Actually, that's a pretty good term. I find in Mass Effect 3 that your squad mates tend to roam quite a bit more than they did in previous ones. In 2, it seemed to be a good balance, but even then, they would advance kind of based on their own sort of AI. Oh, by the way, I mentioned this before during Priority Surcash, but these angled pillars, really, really difficult to judge whether or not your frag grenades are going to hit them. So be careful when you're throwing them if you're on the outside of this corridor, or I guess turning to the right, it would be the inside. But anytime you're in a situation where there's an overhang and you're tossing grenades, that can cause such unpredictable bounces that it's usually does more harm than good. So second Geth Prime here at the end, there'll be usually not much left other than it, so take your time, hang back, fall back if necessary as well. The Geth turrets are not much to worry about, but when they get placed at an awkward location, particularly if the Geth Prime manages to hit you with a direct hit, they can wear you down and potentially cause you trouble. So use the cover to your advantage, wait it out, and keep hitting it with abilities like Overload, Concussive Blast, your Disruptor or Incendiary Ammo, Tele Sabotage, anything you have that will attack its armor effectively. Once the Geth Prime goes down, any turrets in the area self-destruct, and you'll be able to proceed to the final cinematic. There's no point in searching for ammo like I'm doing here, but you might want to look over the area, see if there's any additional pickups that you happen to have missed. I don't believe there are any in this section other than ammo, but there's nothing left in this area, so it doesn't hurt to check if you'd like to scour the area before going on. Never a bad idea. But popping down this ladder will trigger the last cinematic and your eventual flight from the Geth Dreadnought. I can't speak for anyone else, but Legion was also one of my favorite characters. An unusual blend of warrior and philosopher. A unique individual among the collective. I don't like to wax poetic generally, but as far as the writing for Legion goes, I thought it was pretty inspired. Once the cinematic ends, move to the hangar. Don't bypass the salvage that I happen to have missed there. Or do, I don't care. But at this point, there is nothing that can kill you. It's just a straight run to the end. Go around this barrier and through the next hallway.
Hold fire. I repeat, hold fire.
They're not responding.
Damn it.
And then around this falling piece of catwalk. You'll have to move to the right, jump over. You'll fall automatically. Then climb up the side catwalk to the right. Just use your rush ability, run through again. I don't think that you could die from this sequence, but no point in hanging around, there's nothing in the area. And that will be the end of part 17 of the Mass Effect 3 Insanity walkthrough, Priority Geth Dreadnought. Join us next time for part 18, N7 Fuel Reactors. Till then, I'm Lord Maim. Thanks for watching.